Rosie. Okay, that's recording.
Beautiful.
Rosie, your official title at the Australian
college principal, college director, college principal, whatever.
Okay, perfect.
Buck stops with me.
Beautiful. This is recording, and we have people coming on.
Okay,
Zoom.
beautiful.
I'm just going to wait for the people on social media to get that live signal that's going to come on any moment. Really excited about today. I was talking to Rosie last week, and there are so many things that I think sometimes real estate businesses are not aware of. They just get caught up in listing and selling and just trying to make a living in this changing, chaotic market that we're in, that sometimes they might not be totally aware of some of the government assistance that are available. So firstly, we are now live on Facebook. We have our Zoom audience that's joined us. The social media audience is here. I'm really excited to have with me the principal director, or I think calls the shots, put it that way, of the Australians College of Professionals, which is the largest provider of real estate training services across the country to the real estate industry, whether it's CPD points, whether it's licensing. So Rosie, welcome.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, really, really lovely to be with you today. And yeah, I think you're right. This is the side of the real estate industry that we play in does get forgotten by agents, and particularly agency owners, quite frequently, because your job is to get out there, list, sell and manage properties, given. But, you know, we're the side that actually keeps the compliance going, which means you got to have, it doesn't make you any money, but it'll sure lose your money if you get it wrong. So, you know, 100%. There's that side of it that, you know, we're not the fancy, you know, rah-rah side of the world, but we're the side that keeps everybody safe.
Okay. So, Rosie, just the first question is, the world prior to 2020, the world after 2020 with licensing, in your view, is it easier? Is it better than before?
Tom, I think we can, you know, for those of us who like you and me, we've been around for a while, and we can all go back and think about what was it like pre-2003 as well, you know, when the last big round of changes happened, which was when we lost, in 2003, people stopped having to have experience in the industry to get a license. And that was, I remember that you actually had to have experience, you know, 2 years of experience in those days before you could get a license. Now, it took 17 years, but we got back to the point of they're acknowledging that not only is the education side of it, you know, the learning side of it important, that actual real life, getting in there, getting your hands dirty, going to listings, being told by your boss, being led and nurtured by your licensee in charge or the sales director or the senior property manager, no matter where you're at, is really important. So really, did it change from where it was for the previous 17 years? Yes. Is it better? I think yes. I think it gives us better agents at the end of the day. Is it harder? Takes a bit longer. Of course, same. You've still got to do your subjects. You've still got to learn, you know, certain areas. You've still got to learn how to be compliant, but it just takes a little longer to go from entry level to running your own business now. I guess that's the main difference.
I'm curious, with this changing market, Rosie, you know, particularly most of what's happened this year around the country, Sydney and Melbourne probably started to have a realignment of property prices before the rest of the places in Australia. Yeah. But are you seeing any changes in the number of people wanting to actually become a real estate agent and enter the industry now that the market's changing?
Yeah, everybody seems to think that, you know, as soon as the market slows or realigns or goes back to where it should be, you know, however you want to analyze what's happened post-COVID, we can go back and have, and it is a little bit different for, you know, what happened in, you know, 2008 with the GFC or 2089 with the stock market changes. You know, we've all lived through all of those, but every single one of those major changes to the industry has actually meant, and on what I'm seeing now, is more people are actually wanting to get into the industry because they're saying, okay, Well, it was obviously an industry that survives and survives well through a pandemic, and it always comes back. We've seen that, and it keeps coming back. It goes down, it comes up, it goes down, it comes up. If people get in now, I think what we're talking to people about as they come through the doors and doing their entry-level training is they know that they'll be ready to run once the market does start, boosting again. And, in some areas it hasn't changed a lot, some it has. So, it's even with the minor changes in some areas, larger changes in other areas, people are still entering the industry. They're still seeing this as a good option for a career. So, they'll just be super ready when the market takes off again.
Yeah, listen, I was very impressed. I actually came in there as a student on Monday, and I looked across the room there at the people, varying levels. But it's obviously, for many people, they have decided that what they'll do, and so I met a couple of people there that even had university degrees, which was not common in real estate back in the late 80s, early 90s. Often, Rosie, the people that became a real estate agent was someone that didn't do particularly well in their final year at school, didn't want to become a mechanic or a plumber, wanted to wear a suit. What are the options out there? Let's do real estate. But not in 2022. There are people that decide that they want to swap the corporate prison lifestyle, which for many people, that's what it is. It's a pinstripe prison, and they want to run something that they feel like they've got control of their destiny, where they can build their own thing. Often, it's like running, even a salesperson, it's like running your own business without having to outlay all this money because it's highly commission-based. And the quality of the people is good. But I'm just curious, so what you're saying is, even though we've got this changing market, people that are looking at entering in the real estate industry are still coming in.
They're still coming in, and they're still looking for jobs. I would say probably 60%, 50 to 60% of the people coming into the entry level, assistant agent, or the old, what we used to call the certificate of registration courses, they don't have a job yet. So they're still, sitting in there, doing part-time, or sort of, their heads clicked out of whatever they're doing now, and they're wanting to click into real estate. So they're starting and doing that entry-level course, because anyone they talk to says, well, don't come and ask me for a job until you've got your certificate of registration and you're ready to, be registered with fair trading, and therefore you're useful, to an agency. So, people are still coming in and still looking for jobs. So, and we get a lot of people saying, have you got anyone that's come through this month? So
is it the process of becoming a real estate agent now? What does it look like, and what's the investment? Like, they've got to fund their tuition. Is it expensive?
Well, it depends. It doesn't have to be. So, there's a couple of options here. Let's look at option A, and you come through and you pay for it all yourself. The qualification to just enter the industry, there's 5 units of competency out of the certificate 4-level qualification. And you can do that online for $350. You can do it, come to class for, $695, and then that varies around the place. But, so that's a fairly reasonable commitment to get into a job. And, and if you wanted to actually, if you didn't look for any other way of getting it paid for, and you're what we call a fee-for-service student, and came through and paid for every course on your way through, it's a bit over $3,000. However, the other option is to get government funding, obviously. And, we're from where we sit at Australian College of Professionals, we're what we've been tagged as a high performance provider in providing government funded training, which means we have access to a whole range of different government buckets of money. Obviously, there's the one that's a traineeship, which if you get somebody in their first 3 months of working for you, or full-time, or 12 months part-time, their course is free. They don't pay for it. You don't pay for it. We as a college get paid by the state government, and many of the students coming through, depending on what they've done in the past and, what qualifications they're bringing to the table, they may well come with a financial incentive to the employer. And that's about $4,000, depending on whether they're full-time or part-time. Look, over COVID, it went up to $28,000, or 50%, maximum of 50% of an employee's wage, but that was a COVID incentive. Whether we get any of that back with this new jobs push, we haven't heard yet, but there's always that likelihood. But there's definitely, and there always has been, that $4,000. So a little incentive to an employer to have a brand new person coming into their job.
So when we talk, so Rosie, when we talk about a brand new person, the person can't have worked in real estate or brand new just to that business.
Just brand new just to that business. They could have had 5 years, 10 years, 20 years experience somewhere else and be coming in. But if they're brand new to that business, it's the incentive for that business. So they might get a whole lot of recognition of prior learning because of what they've been doing in the past and what evidence they can provide to get that. And we as a college assess that. And, but so they've got to be brand new to that business or that ABN, in terms of that trading, whether they're a company, a partnership, a sole trade, doesn't matter, brand new to that business. So, it's, as I said, within the first 3 months full-time, first 12 months part-time, there are so many. That is the preferential government bucket of money to be sitting with. There are lots of others. There are some for, there's another one, skills checkpoint. It's for people over 45 and, the government will pay half of the fees. So, depending on if somebody's already been in the business for a while and they're wanting to upskill and this isn't about, they could have been working in the same company for 20 years if they wanted. They finally want to upskill to a license, or they need to in New South Wales. But, anywhere else in the country, they need to upskill to a license, different arrangements for different jurisdictions there. But, they'll get 50% of their fees paid. There's another bucket of money that, the government will pay part depending on what experience they bring to the table, and the student will pay part. So, so it's just, a targeted qualification style. So there's lots of different government ways of getting money there. And, we're approved to, process all of those on behalf of the government. So, we always look at somebody and go, okay, well, your best fit is here, or you've been there for 18 months or 9 months, so you don't fit this one, but we can put you into this one. So we always look at what is the best fit for the student and obviously for the employer as well. So there's lots of different ways that the government is actually, and it's a combination between state and federal government here. They're encouraging businesses to take people on. We're all complaining about the staff shortage and or the employment shortage in all different businesses, from our local cafe through to real estate, through to, banking and legals. Everybody's complaining about not being able to find staff. So the fact that there are lots of people out there who are looking for jobs, who are looking for traineeships, I think is a huge opportunity for businesses who are going, okay, let's redefine what we're doing in this market and maybe build our rent roll, or build our, look at other ways of how we can sell differently, or take on a buyer's agency component. Whatever that extra string seems to be, they need to, skill up for that.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm going to urge every real estate business across the country, and definitely in New South Wales, non-negotiable, you've got to get into the Australian College of Professionals ecosystem. And I say that because I've just been oblivious to it all, because I'm in the business of, training and development, but nothing to do with legislation and CPD. And then I just noticed that pretty much all my clients are using you as the provider, whether it's licensing or CPD. And, I was looking at Tate Brownlee on the border there of New South Wales and Queensland.
There's some of my favourites, Tom.
Yeah, or they've got, they've got at the moment an individual or individuals doing their traineeships.
They do.
Kathy Baker, who's a client of mine,
yes.
And she was at Mastery with John McGrath and I last week. And she's got a number of people that are on traineeships. Then the list goes on. Peter Horizakis was telling me he raves about it once a year. They get together. So you've got to link up with the Australian College of Professionals. But to try and simplify this, there's so many different ways it sounds like the government can help. Is there a preferred pathway, or is it based on situation of, where people are at?
Look, we prefer to put people onto a traineeship because it doesn't cost them a cent. It doesn't cost the student a cent. It doesn't cost the company, like the agency or the licensee in charge, doesn't cost you, it's a zip. And because we get paid by the government because we're a preferred provider. Okay, so, that's the preferred one for a traineeship. So getting people when they come in, maybe not the day they walk through the door, check out that, it's a good fit, and then get to us and do the, there's a link on our website, front page of our website. There's a link for government funding, and people can do their eligibility. And the sooner they do that, the sooner we can start getting the process, and they won't miss out on getting a traineeship. All the others are great. And of course, there's lots of different welfare benefits. If people are, if they're on welfare benefits, if they disclose that there's experience of domestic violence, if they're Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander, if they're living in social housing, it's almost $0. Some of those are $0, some are $240. So, almost nothing for a $3,500 course. And, obviously those disclosures don't go anywhere but to us, not to their employer, not to anyone, and we can get people through. So what they put on their eligibility form is really important, so we can get them the best possible government advantage here. And of course, everybody's an individual, so it's not one size fits all here. We'll deal with the individual and what they bring to the table and what their experience and what they need to get out of this.
So Susan's just put up on the link there in the chat box a URL, acop.edu.au/courses/property training. But I also think you've sent me a link here, which we will send out, Rosy, in our EDM with this video. And that is for people to actually go in and see what they're eligible for in a quick survey that's on your website. Is that correct?
It is. And that link, it comes under the Smart and Skilled program. Everybody wonders what that is. That's just the name of the program that the government have tagged it, and it's been tagged that for a while. It's had a few different names over the years. We've been doing government funding for 13 years. So this just happens to be the current name for it. But if they on our website front page, there's a lady in a yellow top, just a graphic. Click on her, click on the real estate one, and the eligibility survey is in there. It's super easy, takes about 5 minutes, because you don't get free government money without answering a whole heap of questions for the government. Mind you, the answers to these questions do not go to the government, they come to us.
Right.
Okay. Clicking submit at the end brings it back into our website, comes back in here. My team actually process that. So, and then they get back in touch with the student, say, okay, yes, this is the pathway that we're going to, that is best going to suit you.
Okay. Well, listen, I wish I knew this a long time before.
That's all right. When you get it, Tom. So
yeah. So Rosy, there are so many people that are watching my content that aren't in real estate at the moment. I mean, the most common thing I meet when I meet gym members at conferences, they come up and they say to me, "Oh, I was following you before I got into real estate." So people are planning the escape from where they currently are.
Yep. And real estate's a preferred second, third, fourth career.
Yeah.
It is for me too. It wasn't my first career. So, it's a great thing.
What was your first career, Rosy? Where did you come? Like, what's been your
Where did I come from? I'm born in Marrickville, but apart from that, which you'd be happy with.
Well, you won't believe it. My first 6 years of my life was spent in Marrickville, in Holmesdale Street, and having migrant parents that didn't know that rugby league existed. At the top of our street was Henson Park, where Newtown Jets used to play. And my dad, I remember would have been about 4 or 5, and we went up the road and we had a look, and he came back and he was explaining. I still remember the conversation, explaining to my mum, they were playing, it's like soccer, but the ball was different. That was
they still would have called it football though, Tom.
Correct. Yeah, that's right. Right. So Rosy, what were you doing before training and education? Or has it always been
nothing? It's always been training, education, policy, legislation. Worked for the government, worked in health and welfare. I'm a psychologist by trade and an educator. So that's my background. Worked in set up a couple of registered training organisations in the government, and thought when I fell into real estate with my husband, who's an accountant, and was working with a real estate company, providing them with financial forecasting. I fell in there doing training and education and writing policies and procedures. And as everybody watching this knows, real estate gets under your skin and you can't escape.
No.
Because it's a good industry to be in. And that's, so, once we want good people in our industry, we need to change the opinion of people that, real estate agents are not the worst employees or the worst profession in the world. The more real estate agents I meet, the better, the better I feel about being part of this industry, because there are some fabulous people around.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And
we just want to make sure that they get paid and are compliant, and you need to fire them up to be successful. And between us, we've got both sides of that covered.
Yeah. And look, the other thing is, I'm going to tell you, team, even those that are watching this here that might not necessarily be that interested in the traineeship side because you're well established in real estate, I can let you know that some of the modules that are being run, and one of the ones that I'm speaking specifically to Rosy about, is auction modules. There are so many real estate agents that have got the ability to actually increase and become an auctioneer. You do, in fact, have a course in October that's got that gives people auction credentials, and you are also going around the state at the moment with Greg Jamison, who we often have on here, where you're doing a program on leadership for the principals and people that are interested. Yeah,
and looking at, I guess the two sides again of, buying and selling rent rolls and buying and selling and how you're structuring your businesses. And I'm looking at the compliance side of making sure that your business is ready for sale or ready to tack on another purchase that you're doing. So, yeah, Greg and I are on the road at the moment. And, yes, that's, it's a business owner's information tour, but it's also, gives you class 1 agents their business skills CPD as well. So, it's an interesting, and we're enjoying it. We're enjoying the topic. So hopefully that comes across to it's had good responses to the places we've been so far. So there's lots of different ways we can go, and getting people, from entering the industry to getting a license to getting their class 1 license, setting up their business and being successful. There's so many aspects to that. The part they need to get from you, the part they need to get from me. And then, we can push them out there and actually have a really positive industry.
And then it's a good time to be doing what you're doing now, because I know that come after Australia Day next year, everyone in your business goes into lockdown because they've got pretty much January, February, and March to ensure that they're doing their qualifications, because it now no longer is a 12-month period. It is a March deadline. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter when your renewal date is for your license or your certificate. You've got to have your CPD done by March. And we're pretty much working 7 days a week from January onwards through to March. So, it's an interesting process. And that's for assistant agents as well. They've got to do part of their license. Class 2 and class 1 have got to do their 6 hours and 9 hours respectively. And, and that's part of being a professional, whatever industry you're in.
Listen, I can't help it. I think going forward, everything I'll do is going to be face to face with you. I just think the face to face version for the average. So the average real estate agent who is pretty good at influencing, really good at the sales side of the business. Detail's not their thing. I just think that they'll get far more value out of actually being present there, talking it through with a good teacher like I had Michael Carolyn. You could be done in one day without having to worry about, sitting there online and doing it. I know that you offer the online option. I'm not taking
we do, and we offer webinars and all that, but we're an industry of people that like to talk. We like to interact. We like to, and we go all around the state with that, so, Albury, Wagga next week, Newcastle, a whole range of, we should have been in Newcastle this Thursday, but we're, on our day of mourning. So that's in a couple of weeks' time. But, there's a whole range of, up in Ballina and Tweed and, as you said, up seeing the guys from Tate Brownlee. So, it's a much better process when you can talk through whatever court cases, whatever, legislation we need to be talking about. it's good to do it face to face, and then it's done.
All righty. So listen, we'll have stuff in the EDM. In the meantime, Susan's put in the chat box, and Susan, if you can on Facebook as well, copy that link so they make it easy for those that are watching to connect with the Australian College of Professionals.
Or just call us.
Yeah, or just call. What's the number, Rosie? What's the number?
1300 88 48 10.
1300 88 48 10. 1300 88 48 10. And I am going to let you know that I am talking to Rosie about, for those of you that have got an interest in auctioneering, we're in the early stages, probably offering something next year that is going to allow someone to not only get the qualifications, but pretty much get ready, set up, behind the scenes, conversations that they're going to hear with vendors, tuition that is experiential out there in the field,
Yes.
and also give you the opportunity to build your own auction practice. We're talking about that and launching that next year. Rosie, thank you.
Ready to fly, I think is what we might call it, Tom.
I like that. Ready to fly.
Ready
That's
to
what
fly.
people want. We're going to put it. We're going to get you on the runway, and you're going to have a clear runway.
That's it. That's absolutely it.
All right, Rosie. I want to thank you so much.
Good talking to you, Tom.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks heaps. See you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye now.